Hello guys, haven't seen for ages. Welcome to the next episode of Banter Blitz. So I'm not sure how it looks on your side, but on my end, I noticed that the starting time specified on Chess 24 was a bit misleading. So it says actually that we should start at 8 p.m. Central European time, but it's not true. It was actually scheduled for 7:30 today, and that's why probably we don't have so many challenges right now. Sorry for that. I didn't notice that it was set up incorrectly on Chess 24. As for the rest, as usual, just let me know how is that with the sound, with the picture. Can you hear me well? Can you see me well? And we will start playing because at least Super Bohemio has already challenged. By the way, yeah, so I hope says stream is okay. That's fine. So we can start playing. By the way, what do you think about the main event so far? So, is it interesting to follow? I have an opinion that everything is more or less fine for now for Fabi, my favorite. So, another question. Twyhosex asks, have I missed a change of training Tuesday and banter? Well, basically, because of this not very stable schedule of my shows during the match, we decided to make banter today. So yeah, Thursday will be also a day off in the sense of my shows. So we will continue with following the main event, and probably next week we'll come back to the normal schedule, but we will see. Okay. So for now, Fabi is doing well, I guess, and this is fine. What do you think about it? So I'm going to accept the first challenge from Super Bohemio. By the way, as for my play and actually my relationship with chess, since I don't really have a lot of time to work on my chess, every Banter Blitz is like rediscovering the game again. So, d5. Okay. So here is the first opinion. Games less boring than Lost World Championship. Yeah, that's true. For sure. Yeah, because we have the fight between, great players this year. Really, number one and number two. And it's really not so clear who's number one, who's number two, I guess. To me, at least, it's not clear. Bishop c4. Okay. So what's going on here? Let's try to play bishop f5. Although it may be very dangerous. Every time when I play something like this, I'm really nervous. Like, what is gonna happen? Something like a sacrifice on e6? No. Okay. So let's bring the bishop to d6. Knight goes here. Let's take it. And castle. I hope it's not that bad. And I have a strange feeling that we have already played something like this. Did I miss something? So what's this? Okay, I'll just take. Knight takes e6. I just play queen to d7, right? Knight f8, king f8 shouldn't be that terrible for black. The only problem is bishop to e5 that follows. So maybe it's better for me to play like queen to e7 instead. Yeah, queen to e7 is a bit better. Then I can recapture with a queen. And if bishop e5 or something, I can play knight b to d7, just protecting everything. Fede Lumpkin says, hear and see well. That's perfect. Really happy you do. Not sure that white has a compensation. Because I have two minor pieces against the rook and the pawn. Well, maybe it's more or less balanced position, but anyway, I think long term two minor pieces should be better than the rook. Taliel is here. And we have some new challenges. That's cool. Okay. Okay, simplification I think is good for black. This bishop on e5 was quite annoying. Anyway, probably white didn't have a real chance to save that bishop on e5 because after some sort of queen e7 or something, I would have attacked this bishop several times anyway. I don't know. Okay, let's put the queen on d6. Looks like a good square. For a queen, much better than f8. At some point, maybe I'm going to play knight at g4, creating a sort of a checkmate on h2. There is also an interesting idea for me in general, just to put the bishop on e4. This looks like a great square for the guy. And just attack g2 gradually. So bishop e4, then maybe queen d5. Some maneuvers are possible, like bringing the queen to g5, then probably the rook through d8 to d5, then maybe, queen to g6 and so forth. Let's see. Not so sure right now, but let's start with the bishop e4. Looks very natural, especially after queen f3, because it is a tempo move, right? g2 is somewhat protected, so let's increase the pressure. It's important not to blunder something like rook f6 at some point. When the queen is on g3, for instance, rook f6 becomes a threat. Yeah. For instance, right now it is a threat. So I have to make a decision what to do with the knight, to protect it with the rook, or maybe to play knight to h5. Knight h5 doesn't look very promising. Queen just goes back to h3, and then what? King to h8 is also not very pleasant, although absolutely playable option. So what is the right move here? Bishop takes g2 doesn't work. Knight to h5 doesn't look very good. Not sure. Let's make this move for now. Didn't want to put my rook on f8, although it was also possible, also playable. Right now I'm just solving the problem of the pin along the g file, so let's see where it leads. So should I open up a position, and maybe it's better to keep it like it is at the moment? I don't know. So a3, obviously preparing rook a to e1 with the further centralization. How can I improve my position? So h5 maybe play, but it's too much, I suppose, for now. So maybe I can spend some time blockading the queen side, like b5, maybe a5, a4, potentially starting the attack against b2. For example, if we exchange everything except for, say, my two more pieces and the opponent's rook, this blockading type of position should be good for me. Is there a threat of rook f6? I don't think so, so we can keep on blockading the queen side. Now I have a backward c6 pawn, but it is perfectly protected by the bishop. Question. Andrey, do you plan to join one of Grishuk banters and play? No. I'm really struggling to find the time for my own shows. Needless to say, I don't have the time actually to join the shows of others, even if these shows are actually hosted by superstars, unfortunately. So maybe now h5 does it look good or not? So rook f6, gf6 is pretty cool for black, so I will try. I have a feeling that I control most important squares, so why not? After h5, I control g4 better, and at some point, I may play this knight g4 move. Not sure if it gives me anything specific, but h5 is not only about controlling g4, it's also about making my back rank no longer that vulnerable. Preparing king to h7, again with a slight gradual improvement of my position. I'm not really satisfied with my rook right now, so at some point I will start thinking of the maneuver, maybe bringing the rook to the g file with the help of the rook lift or something. Okay, once again, I don't see a direct threat, and maybe I can play something like this. Just king h7. Alright, queen to g3. How to improve the rook? Maybe queen e6 now. Yeah, just queen e6. Then rook d8, rook d5. Maybe like this. Let's try it. h3. Okay. Can I play this? Rook to d5. I have to be a bit faster now, because I've noticed that I have less than 1 minute on the clock. I forgot about the time somehow. Okay. Can I play this? Isn't it a blunder? No, it shouldn't be a blunder. It's okay, I'm just controlling the situation. Okay. Oops, I missed a possibility to checkmate my opponent at some point. Yeah, but one on time. All right, interesting game. Once again, I'm not sure where exactly my opponent made a mistake, but it feels like if white wanted to sacrifice on e6, it was much better to do somewhere here when my king was still on e8. Maybe somewhere here immediately. So bishop e6 takes. Then if queen goes to e7, something like rook to e1. Maybe quite annoying. Not sure what is going on there, but once I have, my king castled, I don't think bishop e6 or anything connected with the sacrifice on e6 gives white anything. So after that, black has very simple play. Anyway, thanks for the game. Let's keep on playing. So now we have a choice. There are several challengers. So Emperor Emran, we have never ever played, so I will accept this challenge first. Black pieces again. Yeah, this previous game actually showed all the complications of me dealing with chess nowadays. So it's rather slow, and actually probably didn't find the most efficient way of the conversion of the advantage I got right after the opening stage, but still. Was a good warm-up, I guess. Emperor, are you going to play? Your empire is calling. Okay, doesn't look like what is gonna start, so let's have a look at somebody else. Do we have somebody new? Yes, here is Alaba 27123. Accept. Black pieces as well. Strange thing. d4. All right. Knight f6. Maybe it's time to try something different. Bishop g7. Castling. Is it possible to play c5 here? I'm not so sure. What about double fianchetto? Looks strange, I know. But why not? Now c5 is possible. It's not a sacrifice whatsoever, so my pawn is just protected there. So we have some slight pressure on d4. Of course, it's not a big deal for white because, well, it's protected twice with 2 pawns. At least it forces white to think of, you know, delaying e4 or c4 if he wants to basically grab a bit more space. Because in that case, d4 may become much more vulnerable and I can attack it somehow. Probably. Not sure. What about knight e4 now? Knight e4 takes, knight e2, bishop goes back. Probably just helps white. Because knight on d2 is not necessarily that active. On the other hand, what can I do instead? White is going to play just e4 next move, I suppose. We can try something like a6, b5 here. Meeting e4 with what? With e5 probably after cd4, cd4, e5. Or maybe cd4, cd4, d5. Maybe also an interesting option. Yeah, that is probably what I'm going to do. So I have the time to play a6. For sure. Not that bad move. I mean, if white doesn't stop me, I can play b5 at some point. White decided to control b5. We should also understand that now if white at some point plays e4 and cd4 happens, b4 will be weakened. Not necessarily that big achievement for black, but we should take it into account. What to do now? Let's say rook to c8. Just occupying the c file in advance. Just in case white finally opts for e4. Rook to c1. Okay, rook to e8, protecting e7. Because I want to move my queen away. And in some lines where white plays e4 and I play cd4, d5, and then white plays e5, my knight goes away and e7 is hanging. But white decided to play c4 instead. Okay, this definitely weakens b4. But I probably cannot really use it somehow. At least right now. So let's just take on d4 to clarify the things. If knight takes, well, it's the one thing. White no longer has the central d pawn. If white recaptures with a pawn, then I have some lucky e7, e5, with the counterplay in both cases. And now it's like a Sicilian without the pawn on e4 for now. So it's rather flexible position. Let's say queen b8, queen a8, typical hedgehog maneuver. Looks quite good. I mean, why not? Exerting some pressure on g2 potentially. I have everything protected. I don't really have serious weaknesses here, so I like my position. Only problem is that I'm doing everything slowly. I have to play faster, otherwise there will be a problem. It's really tempting now at some point to undermine b4 with the a6, a5 to grab c5 square for my knight. And I think it's a good idea to do that with an a8 being not accessible for white's knight somehow. So what about a5 now? Looks like we're ready to do that. Fixing the weakness on a4. So whenever my knight is on c5, and it will happen sooner or later, for example after b5, well, a4 is under attack. b6 is also weak, but it's not that accessible for white's pieces compared to that a4, which is already under pressure. That's a good question. Should I play e5 now, or I should do something else? There are different possibilities for black now. Different ideas. For example, this move looks also quite interesting. Attacking the bishop. I can probably even chase that bishop, because if bishop f4 then e5, it's clear. So bishop h4 is forced. Now I'm thinking of this, a bit, cocky style, but now I has to play either f3 or h3 or h4, which basically weakens white's pawns there. I think I will have good chances now, based on that weakening. First, I have to cover f5, of course, which was weakened after g5. And at some point, I will just play d6, d5, opening the position and starting the attack, I hope, at least. So what about bringing the rook to c5 now? No, it's just not very good. Let's put it on d8. Protecting d6 and preparing queen to c8 move, because it's time to activate the queen. I believe it is placed ugly. After white's f3, it's no longer that cool to have the queen there. So it's much better to have us somewhere on c5, let's say. Yeah, so like this. Queen b8 deserved serious attention as well. But what about this sort of activation? Can I play queen b4 now? Takes, it's unclear. Queen a3 looks interesting. Just attacking the knight and the pawn on a4 at the same time. Position gets rather complicated. g5 is under attack. But for now, white has to solve the problem of the hanging knight. It's great that my bishop controls a1, so I believe my queen cannot be trapped. What to do now? Now I wanted to try just bishop f6, right? Yeah, bishop f6 protecting g5. Queen g5 was a threat, because in that case, my bishop could have been pinned. Okay, now what about this? So my plan is pretty simple. I want to bring my rook here, and then to play this move. And it starts looking very bad for white, because dark squares are awfully weak. So the rest is just to open up the d file, I think, and it should be just over. Right? This knight on d4 is pinned forever, and now it's lost, simply. Yeah. Very interesting game, what to say. So white played very, very solid chess but at some point started doing not very convincing stuff. So this knight d4, I think it's the first moment where white definitely started playing not best moves. I believe still e takes d4 was the best option. So just having pawns in the center, having the e file open. So now rook e1 at least is doing something useful, right? e7 is under some sort of pressure. If I play e5, well, actually, if I play e5, I'm fine, I think. But then white can play d4, d5, and my bishop b7 is simply out of play for some time. So, absolutely playable position, most likely just balanced, I believe. Knight takes d4 is not, the move that loses the game for sure. No, it doesn't. But it gives me a very simple play. That's what I mean. But even here, it was possible to improve white's play. First of all, I don't think that b4 was great because it actually gave me a good target. And simple plan again, just to undermine the pawn to get this c5 square. It was better to keep the pawn on b2. Instead, doing something to save the bishop, maybe to maneuver it a bit, because on g5 it is doing nothing. I would have probably played something like f3 here with white. With several ideas. So the one is just to play e4 at some point, of course not immediately because white is not ready. Knight on d4 is quite vulnerable. And the second idea being bishop h4, bishop f2 maneuver, where after e4 is absolutely valid, I guess. So once again, this position should be just balanced, I believe. At some point, black may think of even playing d5, almost completely equalizing. Maybe just after e7, e5, then d5. But anyway, white is doing well here. So, these are my thoughts about this game. Thank you. Let's go further. Do we have... Yeah, here is another player we have never played before. So let's accept his challenge. And after that, we will get back to normal order of challenges. So, playing with white this time. Crowning student joined, and a lot of other guys as well. So, once again, I'm sorry for this misleading information on Chess24 about the starting time of this episode of Banter Blitz. I didn't notice that in time to actually force the changes. So that's almost everybody expected it to start at 8 p.m. Central European time. All right, b6. Guess we can play e4. There are two approaches. So we can take with the pawn. We can also just simplify the things by taking on e4 with the knight. But then in that endgame, I don't think white has real chances. So I'm gonna take with the pawn. King's Indian attack. Yes, it is King's Indian attack. Probably this is the accurate name for it. I still prefer to call it reti. To me, reti is anything that starts with knight f3, g3, bishop g2, when white doesn't play d4 later, which leads to Catalan. But okay. Let's go further. So, it's a tricky move. If I play rook to e1, I guess there is knight takes e4. That should be taken into consideration, at least. If knight takes e4, then queen d1, rook d1, bishop e4. This is annoying. Although even there, white has some compensation, but I don't think white needs it. If I play queen e2, I have to take into account bishop a6 move, but in that case, I think I'm fine after c4. It's not that great weakening of the position since I have a threat of e5. So I believe queen e2 is hence absolutely valid option. Question from Twyhosex about e5. E5 was also an interesting option, no question. But I wanted to control e4 square to prevent knight e4, which sort of simplification. I don't think black has a chance to really prevent e5. That's why I'm not in a rush. Queen e2 is a multi-purpose move, so I'm preparing rook to d1, where after black's queen, we'll have some problems with, finding a good square. Alright, knight c6 instead of knight d7 that I expected. Now probably intending to jump to b4. Now I have to be careful because the first intention was to play c3. This weekend's d3. Not a big deal, most likely. So what about just playing e5 first, attacking the knight and forcing the knight, somewhere, and then just a3 preventing knight to b4. I guess this may be interesting. So the question, Andrey, are you following the World Championship, and what are your views? Yes, I'm following it. Maybe not like analyzing each and every game in details, but yeah, I'm aware of what is going on there, and I have a feeling that, yeah, Fabi is doing well, and I do believe that he has great chances. It was not clear to me at the very beginning of the championship, for example, during first two games, but for now, I find his play pretty confident, and this is great. All right, now goes to d7. Now we have to check if knight takes c5 is a threat. So knight c6, c5, knight takes c5, bishop g2, king g2. No, it's not a threat. So probably we can take our time and play a3. a3 is not really necessary here, even. Rook to d1 is a move. So what black is gonna do? It's something like knight to c5, right? Yeah, so I think rook to d1 makes sense. Now we have sort of space. I mean, more space on the king side, so maybe something connected with h4 and then occupying g5 square may be interesting for us. At the same time, I would be happy to prevent knight to c5, but I don't think I have a possibility. So let's just go h4. Excuse me. What if b3, bishop b2? Is it stupid? Yeah, probably it is, but I don't see somehow any other way to complete a development quickly. And a5 should be protected in many cases, because maybe I want to play knight g5, but I cannot really do that because e5 is hanging. So bishop on b2 will be, yeah, passive, but it will play an important defensive role, I think. Okay, knight to b4. Can I just play a3 here, knight c2 and rook a2? Isn't it something that traps the knight? Well, looks like that. So let's try it. Now just bishop b2, exactly what I wanted. Controlling c3 and creating a threat of c4. I believe. So after this game, I think I will have to make a quick pause. Let's go active now. So I think White is actually having some good prospects here in the sense of attack. There are different ideas, different possibilities. Okay, this weakens the pawn structure. I guess it should be something that matters. More or less, maybe I'm overestimating my position a bit. No. Okay, one only because of the time trouble. However, it was an interesting game. So really hard to say where both sides could have improved their play. But maybe, at some point I started playing too quickly this knight e4, knight c5, knight c5. I'm not sure that knight c5 was good. Maybe knight e4 was not even good, so maybe starting with the b4 was better. Just limiting the knight and then knight e4 and so forth. All right. Thanks for the game. As I said, after this game, I will make a quick pause, so we'll be back soon. Sorry for this break, guys. Okay, so I'm back. I do hope it was not that long. If it was, I'm really sorry. I didn't want to make you wait for a long time. Okay, Don G joined. That's fantastic. All right, let's continue. Let's continue with playing chess. Normal order of challenges. So here we go. The next is Onem. Accept. White pieces. Let's try e4 in this game. I'm curious if Onem is online. Yeah, he is. So waiting for move. Okay. Taliel. Accept. And I'm playing with black. d4. Bishop to f4. Okay, how to make it not so boring? I mean, this London system. Ever try to actually make it not so boring? Leads to hard position for black. So let's just play classics. d5. e3, c5. Oh, Carl Nering. Haven't seen for ages. Have a new avatar, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, maybe it's not that new. But I'm actually seeing it for the first time. c3. Okay, let me remember. Queen to b6 should be okay here. And bishop to f5, right? Or yeah, bishop to f5 should be okay here. If I'm not mistaken, of course. That should be just fine. So queen f5, queen b2. So queen to c1 should be played, I believe. Normally, white plays queen b3, first forcing black to play c4, then queen c2, bishop f5, queen to c1. So this typical London system maneuver. And again, if I'm not mistaken, it was popularized by Gadakomsky. Difference between queen b3 forcing c4 and then queen c2, queen c1, and this queen c1 immediately is that I still have a chance to take on d4. So something like rook to c8 may be annoying for white in many cases, because the queen remains under pressure of my rook. If the pawn is on c4, obviously I do not have a possibility to use this pin, for instance. So c takes d4, e takes d4, knight to b4 is a possibility right now. cd4, cd4, knight b4 will be very bad for white. So let's try this cd4. I'm curious what's going on there. Knight to b4. Is it possible? I think it is. Just creating rid of knight c2. So that was the point behind playing rook to c8, actually, to use this c file. And now we know why white actually starts with queen b3, forcing c4, then queen c2, and then queen c1, and not queen c2, queen c1 immediately. Obviously, it was not necessary for white actually to allow this. It was possible to take on d4 with the knight, let's say, but in that case, I just step back with the bishop. I think I have very pleasant position. Already have an extra central pawn. I mean, one more central pawn if compared to white. By now to knight b4, white should be in trouble, because I don't see a good defense against knight c2. Let Me Win joined and says, oh, I missed the beginning. It feels like missing the beginning of a movie. Yeah. I don't know. I can compare this to the Dead Man. So yeah, very deep movie, but at the same time, super boring. Okay, king goes to d1. This should be an atonement for black, to be honest. Because now the king is just awful. Moreover, I can play something really annoying, like knight g4 now, attacking f2. Okay, I'm joking because bishop can go to g3 and I have nothing there as a follow-up. What can I do instead? I can try knight c2, I can try bishop c2 check, by the way. Almost everything looks great for black now. Do we have something decisive here? I don't think so. But something like bishop c2 check, forcing the king to e1, then like knight to d3 check, forcing bishop d3, and then bishop takes d3 looks quite good for me. And don't know. Maybe I should do nothing and just play e6. Continuing with the development, because I don't see how white is going to improve his position here. Let's try this e6 move simply. Yeah, and after this, okay, just check first. And then either bishop d3 or knight to d3, I don't know which move is better. Let's try bishop d3 just to see what white is going to do. Again, having this threat of knight c2. So back to d1. Looks like a clear waste of time. Alright, this gives me knight c2 possibility. So just check. And if king goes to d1, I can just take on e2, right? By the way, no. There was no knight c2 after knight h4 immediately. Alright, so let's take here. If king takes on c2, I have queen d4, by the way. Very strong move, attacking the bishop and creating a threat of... Okay, there are numerous threats. Now let's just simply take here on a1, I guess. We shouldn't search for anything better than that because it's already very, very good. Now I think intermediate check deserves attention just to prevent the easy development like rook e1 and then king f1 or something. So now again, white's pieces are not coordinated. And we are just continuing the development. So bishop e7. By the way, again, a tempo move creating a concrete threat of knight g4, attacking the knight, the pawn on f2 and so forth. There is an interesting comment, so could have taken on d4 instead of the rook. No? Yes. That was also an option. Also very strong. But I think in either case, black is just winning, right? Queen to d3, knight to e4. Let's play knight to e4. Where the knight is going after f6, let's say. Oh. The knight is trapped. Okay, so Taliel, now you know there's potential problems with having a queen here when the c-file can be still opened. After rook c8, I have a concrete threat of just taking on d4, right? So if you play knight e2, then after cd4, I think you have to take with the knight. Attacking my bishop. I don't want to take on d4 because if e takes d4, although even that is possible, and probably after queen e6, black has some play. But I think normally black has to step back with the bishop to have e5 possible at some point. So black has their central position now, but I don't think it's really a tragedy for white, so it's not a drama. I suppose it's a pliable position here. But if you want to avoid all these complications, you should play queen to b3. And after c4, the same. But now c-file is closed, and you no longer have these problems. Okay. Let's go further. The next challenger was Triacan. Accept. Opponent disconnected, it says. Okay. e4. What's going on? Where is Triacan? Probably Triacan is sleeping already. I don't know. It's really resembling now the dead man watching. If I'm not mistaken, I had like 2 attempts to watch that movie. The first ended with falling asleep somewhere in the middle. Dan Exile is the next one. e4. Come on. Let's play. Maybe so there is a question, which movie is Andrey talking about? Maybe I'm actually misleading you with the name of the movie, but I think it was definitely a dead man. Jarmusch was the man behind it, the man who created this. And the main role was, who was that? Johnny Depp. And it's not Dead Man Walking. I'm not talking about that. Maybe it's not dead man. I don't remember. But it should be a dead man. E4, come on. Nobody is gonna play. Right, let's go further. And here is the Walker. Accept. So maybe their Walker will play. E4, come on. Let me win, dead man. So it's dead man, right? After all. Johnny Depp. Main role. Featuring Iggy Pop as well. Somewhere in the forest at some point. First name Johnny. Okay. Johnny Walker. Come on. I don't understand what's going on, huh? So the third guy in the row, and we're somehow not able to start the game. Johnny Depp in Dead Man, not walking. I got it, says Don G. Yeah. So did you check already? Was it really called a Dead Man? Okay, their Walker is also away, aboard. Alright, the next one, Sebi. Okay, I think this game will be definitely played. Because Sebastian never misses a game. E4, E5, let's go. Knight f3. Oh, let's try d6. I know it's quite risky. Dead man indeed. Okay, guys. So yeah, my memory is still more or less okay. Bishop c4. Intending to play knight to g5 if I play knight f6. In this case, I usually start with bishop e7. I used to start with bishop e7 because the last time I played Philidor in a tournament game, well, it probably happened like 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago or something. d3. All right. a4. White is not doing anything specific to actually challenge my e5. In Philidor, this usually means I can try f5. That man's clarification. That's why Josex posted a link to Wikipedia. Alright, interesting. Okay, castling. Now what? Take c4, knight f6 leads to knight g5. So knight f6 immediately, then knight g5 is still quite annoying. What about f4? Is there a threat to start with? Is there a threat of something like knight to e5? I don't think so. Let's play f4. I mean, I protect e5 sufficiently to try that. So if white plays d4, I will probably try some like bishop g4. Okay. All right, so we somehow managed to understand the movie I was talking about, The Dead Man. Now the question, did anybody actually watch it? And if yes, how many attempts? 1, 2, more than 5, and so forth. I'm really curious. Okay, let's go to G4. Opinion denied. So I said I had like 2 attempts. Maybe it was just the one lone attempt, but definitely with some, smoking breaks for sure. B4. Okay, now I have to be careful, but I can also forget about like problems with B7. So White is trying to do something like Italian here, but I don't think it's yeah the best approach here. Not sure. So let's keep on developing the pieces. Let's see. I have problems with castling for sure, but my attack on the king side, which is gonna start at some point, maybe promising like G5, G4, and so on. I want to put the queen on D7 for some reason, I don't know. Not really preparing castling long, no, but protecting the bishop and maybe intending to take on H3 if there is H3. So, queen B3. Gosh, smoking breaks? What's wrong with smoking? I know it's not really healthy.